Hey, it's Black Vader, aka I am Michael, with another reading from the code. You can get the code at producejustice.com, written by Neely Fullers. This is Black History Month, and we're in the last area of activity, Area 9, Counter-War/War. We're going more into the Maximum-Emergency Compensatory Action, and I think this is part 2. So we gotta do what we gotta do for this. They say you're supposed to read the Bible every day. I think we should at least try to be on code every day, And I think if more people were at least tried to share how they felt about the code, or at least read the code to others, we can at least get on code for everybody in this who's non-white in this world and stuff. And that's one step towards producing justice. So whether we read, learn, or do something constructive, that's better than what the white supremacists want us to do, and that is ultimately deaf and subservient and just being stupid. So here we go. We're on page 380. What are the specific circumstances under which maximum emergency compensatory action is justified? Answer: when a victim of racism and is unable to compensate for great and or acute suffering caused and are promoted by the racist white supremacists from a substantial period of time. Hold on, let me make sure I didn't read this. When a victim of racism is unable to experience justice by repeatedly asking those racists who have power to produce justice. When a victim of racism is unable to produce justice because of the weakness, fear, and lack of interest of other victims of racist injustice. When a victim of racism has existed as long as he or she can endure to exist under the most of the conditions for existing under the system of white supremacy. Question: what form of war or counter-war that includes the killing of people is more justifiable than maximum emergency compensatory action? Answer: as long as white supremacy, racism exists, no form of war or counter-war that includes killing of people is more justifiable than maximum emergency compensatory action. When someone says or implies that there is no justifiable reason for the concept of the enactment of maximum emergency compensatory action, say the following: as long as the killing of people by people can be justified for some reasons, maximum emergency compensatory action can be justified for one reason. The reason for the existence of the concept of maximum emergency compensatory action is justified by the existence of the system of white supremacy racism. Question: is it correct for a non-white female to enact maximum emergency compensatory action? Yes. Under socio-material conditions dominated by white supremacy racism, it is correct for any individual, non-white person, regardless of sex, to enact maximum emergency compensatory action if he or she has a need to do so. Question: how can the enactment of maximum emergency compensatory action help to minimize direct violence and or counter-violence against people when maximum emergency compensatory action itself means to kill people? Answer: there is no form of war or counter-war that uses or includes the use of direct violence or counter-violence that is more honest, less corrupt, less wasteful, and less maliciously or accidentally destructive in scope than an enactment of maximum emergency compensatory action. Question: is a person who enacts maximum emergency compensatory action committing suicide? Answer: yes. As long as racism and white supremacy exist, any reaction to its existence by a non-white person can be considered a form of suicide. When a non-white person submits to white supremacy, that non-white person can be said to be submitting to a suicidal condition. To submit to and or cooperate with racism, white supremacy can be called a prolonged suicidal process. to submit to and or cooperate with people who are extremely powerful in the practice of injustice and who are greatly committed to continuing to practice it can be called a commitment to the prohibition of justice. This could be called, in effect, the prohibition of the birth of justice. To prevent the establishment of justice and or to fail to resist the practice of injustice, even to the death, is to endorse the suicide on the basis for the meaning of life, as it should exist among the people of the known universe. Any existence that directly or indirectly supports nonviolence and or incorrectness is, in essence, the functional equivalent of non-life, no life at all. Life, in total essence, is the total sum of truth, justice, and correctness, which equals peace. Those people who exist in subjugation to white supremacy, non-white people, exist in support of falsehood, non-justice, and incorrectness. Therefore, they neither live a life nor support a life, but rather exist in non-life and support non-life. To exist in non-life and support non-life, regardless of time and effort spent in doing so, is to commit suicide. From this viewpoint, a victim of white supremacy who enacts maximum emergency compensatory action is not committing suicide, but is acting as a force in support of the future establishment of life against the masterful force that now does the most to maintain a greatly sophisticated non-life, white supremacy. Without justice, there is no life in people. Without justice, people do not live, they only exist. People who willfully and deliberately exist in practicing injustice and who do so on a masterful scale over a prolonged period of time and who show no intention of stopping the practice do not deserve to exist. The non-white people who submit to those who practice injustice on a masterful scale over a prolonged period of time do not do their duty to the meaning of life if they continue to exist in subjugation to the masterfully unjust. To refuse to submit to such subjugation by eliminating their own existence while eliminating the existence of one or more unjust masters under conditions of maximum emergency compensatory action is to promote the production of justice. It is not a matter of choosing between life and suicide. It is a matter of choosing between justice and non-justice. Existence without justice is non-life. All existence has value, but the value of existence under those conditions dominated by non-justice is in the will to utilize that existence to the utmost, to eliminate injustice and to establish justice. Question: what is the best and correct thing to say about the concept in the enactment of maximum emergency compensatory action? Answer: both the concept and the enactment of maximum emergency compensatory action is, at best, a tragic necessity. Some things to consider before enacting maximum emergency compensatory action. Be true to yourself. Think about the total seriousness of maximum emergency compensatory action. Think about the fact that the deliberate killing and or execution of one or more white supremacist racists by a victim of white supremacy, non-white person, acting openly and alone is not a trivial matter. It is unjust and incorrect to play with the existence of oneself or the existence of others, even if those others are people who practice racism, white supremacy. One should be totally serious and extremely thoughtful. Maximum emergency compensatory action should not be planned or enacted as a whim. It should not be thought of as an adventure. It should not be thought of as a way of expressing anger. It should not be thought of as a way of testing skills or as a game. This serious and final decision should not be made in haste. It should not be made in anger. It should not be enacted. Hold on. That tells me everything. I'm sorry, I got lost. It should not be enacted because you merely feel bitter or upset about racism, white supremacy, or because you feel disgruntled about the effect that racism has had on various parts of your existence. Do not attempt to enact maximum emergency compensatory action in a sporting manner, or attempt to enact it while overcome with anger or passion to the extent that one's ability to think and act efficiently and constructively is hampered. Explanation: it is incorrect to destroy any person, animal, creature, etc. in a sporty fashion. The destruction of any creature should never be regarded as a trivial matter. It should never be treated as a game or a form of exciting adventure. It is incorrect to kill even the most non-just of people, except when it is absolutely necessary to do so in order to promote the production of justice and or to substantially help to eliminate the maintenance of non-justice. The killing of the most powerful of the deliberate non-just people, white supremacists, should always be because they repeatedly refuse to stop their practice of maximum non-justice, white supremacy. Therefore, when destruction of one or more of the most deliberate and most powerful of non-just people is necessary, it should be done suddenly and without any chance be given to them to be saved or to save themselves. To give such non-just people a chance would be to make a sport of an act of deliberately destroying organisms whose existence and meaning you may not understand. To make a sport of the destruction of any creation is incorrect destruction. It also entices killing for fun or for other unnecessary purposes. Maximum emergency compensatory action is not a sport. Do not ask another person, an accomplice, to assist you. Do everything yourself. Do not tell anyone of any plan or intention that you have to enact maximum emergency compensatory action. Do not plan maximum emergency compensatory action in haste. Take plenty of time. Check and check again every detail of the plan. Do not enact maximum emergency compensatory action when, for some reason, it cannot be enacted according to the plan. Study the circumstances and make another plan. Do not plan or attempt to enact maximum emergency compensatory action if you do not currently exist in subjugation to white supremacy racism. Do not enact maximum emergency compensatory action unless you are a victim of racist violence, a victim of the threat of racist violence, or a victim of non-just conditions, directly or indirectly caused by and promoted by racist violence or the threat of racist violence. Do not carry any written materials on your person while enacting maximum emergency compensatory action, except those counter-racist materials and or writings which are of practical value in helping to inspire willpower and are helping to improve the efficiency of enactment. Do not enact maximum emergency compensatory action under any circumstance where a non-white person may be killed, injured, or have his or her possessions destroyed or damaged as a direct and simultaneous result of your act. Do not enact maximum emergency compensatory action against any white person whom you have reasons to believe is doing all that he or she can to stop practicing racism and are doing all that he or she can to stop others from doing the same. Do not enact maximum emergency compensatory action during the periods of so-called race riots or during periods of so-called mob action. To do so promotes confusion about who is doing what and why. Do not enact maximum emergency compensatory action unless you are absolutely certain that there is nothing more important than the elimination of injustice. Under the circumstances of every part of your existence, it is the correct thing to do. There is nothing else that you can do during the remainder of your existence that is likely to be more effective in helping to eliminate racism. You have set a definite time limit for the completion of enactment. You believe that to exist without justice is worse than death, non-existence. Do not enact maximum emergency compensatory action by using tools that you are not sure that you can handle and or operate with maximum efficiency. Do not attempt to enact maximum emergency compensatory action without having and knowing how to use the tools that are necessary for efficient accomplishment. If possible and practical, use the same tools to terminate your own existence that you use to terminate the existence of the racist white supremacists. Do not enact maximum emergency compensatory action unless the overall conditions are supportive of an enactment that is extremely effective. Some examples of factors to be considered are as follows: ice, snow, rain, darkness, light, congestion, cold weather, hot weather. Do not enact maximum emergency compensatory action during great periods of destruction caused by natural forces, God, the Creator, Allah, etc. Examples: disease/epidemic, firestorm, flood, earthquake, tornado, ice/snow, hurricane, famine, volcanic eruption. Avoid speaking and or acting against racist man and racist woman white supremacists collectively during those periods when great fear and or great destruction is being produced by all power, the source, the Great Spirit, God, the Almighty, the Creator, Allah, Jehovah, etc. Explanation: it is correct for all people to admit that they do not know everything there is to be known, or that they know the reasons for everything that happens in the known universe. It is correct for people to always be willing to do whatever is the most humane thing to do in every possible circumstance. Therefore, when the powers of the known and unknown, God, the Source, Allah, the Great Spirit, seem to be directly inflicting great misery on racist man and racist woman, it is incorrect for the victims of racism, non-white people, to rejoice or applaud. It is correct for all to do that which is constructive and humanely helpful. It is correct to be constructively helpful as you can when there are people nearby who are suffering from disastrous incidents. It is correct for a person to believe that if placed near a tragic incident by all power, God, the Source, Allah, etc., it is also correct for that person to believe that he or she was placed there to be of the most constructive help to whomever is suffering. Compensatory law, the law of laws, requires that when people are made helpless by the force or power that is greater than all of the people of the known universe, all power, God, Jehovah, Allah, the Creator, etc., it is the duty of all people to do all that they can to help those who are most in need of constructive help. During this period, the people who have been abused the most, Non-white people should try to do the most to help all others. It is unjust and incorrect for a victim of racism to commit any act against any person when that person is being injured or being killed by natural forces, or when that person is experiencing suffering as a result of these forces. It is just and correct for all people to try to help eliminate suffering during periods of famine, flood, epidemic, etc. Part of me wants to go. Should I continue? No, I think I'm good. Well, that was 20 minutes of it. Thanks to everyone who's watching. Next, we're going to start on page 387. We did a lot today, so, there's always more to be done. But I want to say thanks to everyone who's a part of reading the code. And we're going to continue to, do this forever. So, thanks. God bless everyone. Please stay safe. And let's all do all that we can to stay on code. And thank you guys. Make sure you get the code at producejustice.com. Like, comment, subscribe. We're out of here.